Leftover lasagne.
Leftover lasagna.
Lasagna? No way.
It's a type of sandwich.
Some kind of gross pasta.
Leftover lasagna is a
podcast
hosted by
my
Nitin
church
Sundar and Tony Uncle. Leftover lasagna.
Very funny name.
Hello and welcome to Leftover Lasagna, the podcast equivalent of Dipinder Goyal's Chief of Staff job posting. It is not for everybody, and the ones who do opt in have to pay us with their time and attention in the hopes of getting 10x more learning and laughs than they would otherwise. But really, we're just doing this for the attention. I am Tony, the guy who sticks to online shopping because he cannot resist a sales spiel. The guy with a label on his forehead in font size 144 that reads sucker. And joining me is a man who will tell me, Day, it's not sucker, it's to be pronounced Zucker. If I am Zucker, he is Berg. Because as his many fans will testify, just the tip is enough for him to take you to a Titanic catastrophe, love affair, one of those things. The Deepender, who's also Goyal to you, say hi, Nitin Sundar.
Hello, Tony Sebastian. Unlike our podcast, I believe Zomato does not deliver leftover lasagna. They deliver fresh lasagna. Now, before we dive right into Dipinder and other stuff, you had a very eventful week behind you, Tony. You were in New Delhi for a few days.
I was, yeah.
And you were incognito in New Delhi because nobody can see each other in New Delhi because the quality of air is such. But you had an interesting co-traveler with you on your way to New Delhi. So tell us about your flight from Bombay to Delhi.
So, where does one begin? Actually, I was flying to Delhi early in the morning for a meeting around noon time. So, obviously, take a early flight, right? Except as we were about to board, it was one of those flights where they had to take a bus first to, take you there. Worst kind of thing to do, which Nitin you will hate because famously, the airport bus is first in, last out. Right?
I absolutely love that bus, and I'll tell you why. Especially on the way back, because so as soon as you land, the moment even before the plane has even started taxiing, even before touchdown, you have our passengers standing up and trying to jostle into the aisle with their luggage because they're in a hurry to get out. What do those morons do once the plane door opens? They rush into the bus like lemmings and get squeezed at the back of the bus. The person who comes out last from the plane is the last person to enter the bus and hence the first person to exit the bus. So I absolutely love the bus. Right?
Has the door is theirs. Hodor. No, see, this is what I don't get, right? Like, you and I, very keen on efficiency. Therefore, the best thing to do is to get out last and get in last in the bus. Similarly, like in traffic also, right? You'll see occasionally, like, there are people waiting to cross and no one let them cross. I'm like, bro, like, the signal is further ahead. The efficient thing would be to let anyone pass so that you're not losing any time at all.
No, but that is wrong, right? See, before the Formula One race, the previous day, there is this thing called qualifying. You're going to do 75 laps around the circuit, but who starts in front has a huge advantage. Yeah, so it really makes sense to jostle for pole position. Literally, so much that one lap you do on the previous day is as big an event as the race itself, which is 75 laps. So I disagree with you.
Both made famous by Drive to Survive, right? That is basically what you anyway do on Indian roads. So, as it turns out, Nitin Sundar, I was on a flight to Delhi, and basically it's a business flight, right? Because everyone's dressed in suits and looking all important. Everyone's got their laptops open and stuff like that, and the plane is taking time to taxi and move. Yeah, LinkedIn, something. People are
7
generally
operations learnings from taking the bus to get into the plane.
Yeah, generally looking important, right? Meanwhile, I've packed my laptop in my overnighter and it's somewhere in front, so I have time to observe everyone around me. And to the left of me is a Japanese gentleman who's got like his nice screen, and his screen also has the Japanese script and everything, right? And on the right of me is another guy who's chilling also. In front of me, there's a row of 3 people.
Sorry to interrupt for the 7th time, but normally this podcast is leftover lasagna, but this time it was leftover ramen because you had a Japanese guy sitting to your left. Go on.
Pasta tense. Okay, so anyway, in front I can see a girl in an IMB jacket, IM Bangalore jacket. To her right is this balding middle-aged guy who was like looking flex. To her right is this guy who's looking very important, like sending out emails and like on calls and saying that this and the other, clear that tranche of 300 crore, some shit and all he's saying. Right? Okay, like so very, very important guy.
अदानी के साथ फ्लाइट में गया आप.
Suddenly he swipes left and jumps into this girl's lap, and I'm like, what the fuck happened, right? And I look at the window where he's pointing, and there's a lizard, okay, like a house
Ooh.
lizard. Like one of
This
those
is the
things that
much
you're-
awaited sequel to Samuel Jackson's Snakes on the Plane. This is Lizard on the Plane. The reptilian lords are taking over the skies. Go on,
Yeah.
Tony. Amazing.
So suddenly the Japanese guy looks at me and he's like, why the fuck did he freak out? And I point to the lizard. And he gave me a look like, it's not like Godzilla or anything. Why is he getting up for a small lizard, right? Except the lizard is now freaked out. And I don't know if it left its tail behind, but it went to the seat in front where a woman was sat, clad in yellow. She got up and started shrieking. Okay, and the entire plane is now in alarm because she has high visibility yellow color, but also a high pitched voice that has alerted everyone. So obviously the cabin crew comes. By the time the lizard is fucked off, okay, it's like I don't want to be anywhere near these guys. Professional network. I don't want to add you on my LinkedIn account.
Unless the lizard was Gordon Gecko, in which case, makes total sense to be on a business flight from Bombay to Delhi.
So now the airline protocol has to be put in effect, right?
They actually have a protocol for
Of
an event like
course.
this. Okay.
Yeah, because now it is considered a flying hazard or whatever. We realize this because
It's not
the
a flying
pilot
hazard, it's a flying lizard.
flying.
I have one question.
Yeah.
See, we should always start from the beginning. Did this lizard also take the bus to come into the flight? That is my first question.
No, I don't think so. But I'm guessing the protocol was probably around there is a stowaway, right? The lizard hasn't paid for a ticket. Now, airlines are famously frugal about anyone who is getting on the plane, right? Like you have to check for its ticket before you're allowed. So the pilot makes an announcement saying there has been an incident, there is a lizard. Now we have to now they can't examine it, right? Only professionals can. So ground staff has to come and sort this out. So then we wait for another 30 minutes. Ground staff come. They search the plane. Can't find it.
Until then, you're all sitting on the plane.
We are sitting on the plane.
Nobody
Yeah.
move. The monster
Nobody
will catch
move.
us.
and then they get the senior ground staff because probably he has better vision. Right now, going out with mobile torches under seats to see if the lizard is there. They do 3 rounds of search, cannot find the lizard, and then they call it a day. And the pilot is like, "Okay, the ground staff have now cleared the flight for takeoff." And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to be late for the meeting. As it turns out, it was not the lizard that delayed me, but the AQI in Delhi, which basically meant that this was the peak day. Okay.
Yeah.
I checked all flights in the last week, all of them have landed on time. This was the day when 11 flights apparently were diverted. We were almost on the verge of landing in Jaipur, but finally made it 3 hours late to
Amazing.
the destination. Yeah.
So after overcoming the flying hazard, which was the flying lizard,
Non-flying lizard.
your plane ran into a blizzard.
Blizzard. Hey, there is a limerick scope somewhere here, no? Once
Yeah.
there was a lizard who was considered a flying hazard.
Hazard, yeah.
And it took them some time to identify the crime. But finally, we were delayed by a blizzard.
Blizzard. Oh, perfectly done. Beautiful.
That's
very nice. Lovely. Order Nash.
Leftover limericks. Yeah, but tell me something. Would you freak out if you saw a lizard?
I hate lizards. Yeah.
But you'll freak out. What would you do? What would your reaction?
If there's a lizard in very close proximity to me, I would freak out big time.
Okay.
Yeah. Because usually my strategy when it comes to lizards is to go away from them. But if you're strapped into a plane in the window
Correct.
seat and there is a lizard on the window, there's nowhere you can go.
No way you can go. Yeah.
Except onto the lap of the beautiful lady in yellow. I'll tell you why it actually took 2 hours or whatever for them to clear the flight for takeoff. It wasn't because they were looking for the lizard, but they were trying to isolate the luggage of the lizard, because the lizard is not on the plane. Taking the luggage all the way to Delhi is a big problem, because then they have to fly it back to Bombay at their own cost.
This is true. So imagine this was before takeoff. What would happen if someone saw a lizard mid-flight? Like, what do they do?
Emergency landing in Jaipur.
These are things because lizard. These are things that don't have a protocol, right?
I'm surprised that appearance of a lizard is actually part of the protocol. Like, do they have things like appearance of a, I don't know, kangaroo?
I think it is appearance of lizard so much as disturbance in cabin and like 6 people freak the fuck out, right?
No, I mean,
It
that's
is.
too generic, no? Like, if someone found a bomb on the plane, the reaction would be exactly the same. You know, the 6 people who saw the bomb would freak out. But the way
Yeah.
you treat a bomb situation and a lizard situation are definitely not the same. So you need nuances in the handbook.
Right. Like an ant won't freak you out, right? A fly won't freak you out. A
Yeah.
lizard, yeah, probably. A cockroach will definitely freak you out. Spider, yeah, sure. Lizard, I think, is in between these. Like
Spider far lesser than lizard for me.
really? Why?
Yeah, spider. You can squash a spider and be, it's just going to go away. It's not. It's
As
not.
opposed, as opposed to a lizard, what will it do to you?
You'll squash a lizard and all
No,
its
you don't do
entrails
anything. You just bang the window and it'll fuck off. Like it's more scared of it than you are. It's more scared of you than
then it is.
it is more scared than you are. Okay.
Of yourself?
Yeah. Have you seen into my soul? Have you seen into my soul?
Oh my goodness. I hope you finally made it to the meeting. I hope the samosas were worth it because you would have been there in time for samosas only at the end of all this. So this was a one-day meeting. It must have been really important. It was just one meeting that you flew for.
Yeah. Correct.
You become one of those important people who will fly for one meeting.
Please. No. Then you line up other meetings, no, because you have to like justify the price of admission. But the AQA in Delhi was terrible, man. And I was like the weather was really weather in the sense the temperature was really good. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I'll walk because it's only a 20-minute walk. Then I got out and I'm like, no, fuck that. Let me get an Uber
Yeah.
for 120 rupees for 650 meters. Whatever.
Yeah.
That was the kind of situation it was. Really, really bad.
Amazing. Brilliant. Good to see that you're back in Bombay. And good to see you because the fog is clear.
I know. आजकल तो फॉग ही चल रहा है.
Let us jump into the episode then. What has Dipinder Goyal been up to?
Dipinder Goyal does this from time to time, right? Floats these balloons, which feeds on the outrage of people. Whereas he's really just doing it for the attention, right? So the job posting says he's looking for a chief of staff for himself, and like they'll be involved in every one of Zomato's new businesses and get to learn so much. So much so that you will learn 10x what you will learn in a B school over 2 years. So you have to pay me 20 lakhs in year one to get this job, which will be donated to charity, right? It's not like he wants to keep it, but he wants you to show that you're willing to learn. And in second year, you will have a salary which will be in excess of 50 lakh, but we will decide at that point in time. Right? So I imagine like probably in his marketing meeting, they're like, we need to invert the pyramid, think of some new idea. There have always been loyalty programs where, customers are given something in return for engaging with the brand. How about we invert a loyalty program and create a goyalty program where they have to pay you to interact with you, right? It's one of those ideas that allows podcasts like Leftover Lasagne to run and gets Dipinder Goyal several dollars from Elon Musk because I'm sure like his tweet has got enough traction for him to deserve a pay.
Yeah, this is his plan. Not running a company for 16 years and taking it public, but to become a Twitter influencer and take 8 rupees from Musk for every like. By the way, that pun about loyalty was pure Zomato gold, I must say. So the few things in that tweet that he put out, right, that jumped up for my attention. So one of the things is the job description. There's a 1.5 line job description he has given, right? Like you mentioned, anything and everything to build the future of Zomato, including Blinkit, District, Hyper Pure, and Feeding India. Now there are at least two brand names there that I've never heard before. So maybe this entire tweet was a way to get attention to District and Hyper Pure, which are apparently two of the verticals within Zomato. Have you heard of District and Hyper Pure?
I've heard of District because of our friend Abhishek Madan. So this is Zomato has bought Insider. And that is what District
Paytm had Insider.
Yeah, correct. So Zomato bought Insider. And Feeding India is what he's donating this to, right? So it's not even charity. So it is going into his own thing, is it?
What is Feeding India?
I don't know. You just read Feeding India.
Feeding, but I think Feeding India is a non-profit.
Like PM Cares,
Yeah, no, but
which is the fund for all product managers.
but Hyper Pure, I've never heard of that. Once again, what is Hyper Pure is left as an exercise to our listeners.
Oh, is this the Pure Veg fleet?
Oh, I thought that was a gimmick, man.
No,
It's actually a business.
obviously.
Oh, it's a wholesale restaurant supplies at mandi rates in India. So it supplies to restaurants, so it's B2B. So this was just a great way for him to get attention to those businesses. So
Reminds me of a tweet. You know what I love about farmers markets is that by cutting out the middleman, the price of the vegetables actually increase twofold.
there's some joke here about, the whole PDS system in India and how rice is bought at subsidized rates by the government, which nobody gets, and then the environment is polluted.
The ration wants to know. The ration wants to know.
What will you get out of this role? 10x more learnings than a 2-year degree from a top management school. That's very precise, by the way. What if it was a 1-year degree from a top management school? Is it then 20x? Like ISB versus IIM. Right? Do you want 10x more learning or 20x more learning?
It also depends on what you learned out of B school.
Correct.
So 10x of 0 can still be 0.
Why stop at 10x? You should put 100x. Most people learn nothing in B school anyway. So,
Correct.
Working with me and some of the smartest folks in consumer tech, lots of modesty there. He didn't include himself in the smartest folks in consumer tech. But then comes, of course, the catches that you spoke about. The first year, the person who joins this role will have to pay 20 lakhs to be in this job. Now, the reason he has explained this is that we believe that people who apply for this role should do it for the learning opportunity it presents rather than for the fancy, well-paying job, which will make you look cool in front of yourself or the people you want to impress. Now, this is where I have a problem, because ultimately, if they actually do end up hiring someone for this role, they will actually flaunt this job to their friends.
Correct.
Because this is a very standout chief of staff job, and everyone else in the chief of staff network is actually going to be jealous about the person who lands this role. Because let's face it, likely going to be someone on their third job or something. It's they'll probably be able to manage this 20 lakh thing that they need to pay, if at all they are made to pay.
But doesn't he say should come with no experience and no baggage? Apparently, he also charges extra for excess luggage.
We want
Not no experience, limited experience.
Not a lot of experience. Now that is, I'm sure you want people with 5 years of experience. You want people with 5 years of experience. You're not taking a fresher for this job. Let's face it.
Who is paying 20 lakhs? But this is what Sahil Rizwan pointed out, saying this was not the first time he posted this, right? Sometime in 2023 also he posted the same thing. Yeah. And everyone flogged him then also. Except no one remembers, right? The internet has such a short memory.
Correct.
This is why we are cataloging everything for future generations.
Because you should know about this in the future. Very important.
Correct.
It's not even worth knowing one day after it happened. But in the future, you should come back and visit these things. He also doesn't want a CV, which I, by the way, appreciate, because CVs are complete junk. But he's asked for 200 words, like a 200-word essay explaining why you are well suited for this role. In a sense, I like that. Right? I always struggle to fill a page of a CV. By the time you get to the bottom, you're like came third in elocution competition in 11th standard for Inter-House representing Pratap House. Like, come on. Yeah. I've run out of things to say at that stage.
This reminds me of my actual shortlist for TAS. Obviously, it was the first time that TAS was coming to B school, so it was given the first slot before placements. They would shortlist, I'm guessing, about 60 out of 360, right, to go into this thing and all that. Obviously, they'll look at CGPA and stuff like that, right? Some of those parameters come into play. But they had one alternate route, which was that they wanted someone to host their event on campus, for which they wanted a 600-word SOP. I'm like, okay, I have better chance of being 1 in 360 than 60 in 360. So yeah, that's how I made the shortlist.
What? And now here you are taking fancy flights from Bombay to Delhi for one-day meetings.
I think I should apply for this chief of staff role. Is basically what I'm saying.
I think you're best suited for this role. You also established that your commitment to the job is so much that you're willing to walk through the toxic smog of Delhi to save 600 Uber rupees. Dipinder Goyal Saab, please. The person to take district global is right here in front of you. This hyper pure soul, you better hire him fast, because if you blink it, you will miss it.
He's also mentioned stuff like empathy and all, no? Very characteristic of his tone deafness, right? how does Dipinder Goyal's empathy work? It is like, oh, pure veg people have a problem, so we will identify your fleet for you. His empathy is like, oh, this is a job with a lot of learning, so pay me 20 lakhs only if you're privileged enough to pay me 20 lakhs. Can you afford this
Yeah.
role? Right? So his definition of empathy is very interesting.
Interesting question, right? So 5 years out of corporate world, obviously we are probably a little old now for this, but let's say 5 years out of whatever strategy roles, would you have applied for this job?
Giving 20 lakhs, sir.
I'm sure there'll be something. There'll be some, you can file your living expenses. Something of that sort should be there, right? I'm sure it's worth a try. You can always go to the interview and then say, "Oh, breakfast not included," then I'm not coming.
Nitin, you should realize that neither us nor our listeners are likely to apply to this, right? What they're likely to apply to, and in fact have, was the role that BCCI put out for the coach of India, which also had a Google Docs form with a 200-word write up of why you should be India's coach. And we all did apply, right?
Dude, now I have a great idea for Dipinder Goyal. In one move that will make both Indian cricket and Zomato much better. I think Gautam Gambhir should become the chief of staff of Dipinder Goyal.
Yes, we've solved it.
I'll tell you why it makes sense also. Because Gautam Gambhir has a record of donating money to join an organization. Because he did that when he joined the BJP.
Makes sense, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know how much of this is true, but apparently he is now the coach of the Indian team because he wanted to become the face of BJP in Delhi or something of that sort, and they were not willing to give him that.
Oh.
At which point he said, "Can you please return all the donation money that I gave, amounting to 10 crores or whatever?"
He's like that boy in school, no? He's like, these are my stumps. I'm leaving now. Please give my stumps back. I'm taking.
Apparently they said BCCI, BJP, which is all the same thing. Apparently said, no, we can't give you the money and all back. But if you want, we can give you the coaching job.
Coach.
So I think he's perfectly suited to be the chief of staff. Dipinder Saab, if you are not hiring Tony Sebastian, there is only one option. That is Gautam Gambhir. Here also he is the second choice. Overshadowed. That day by Dhoni, this day by Tony. Amazing. Good luck to Dipinder Goyal, sir. But hey, like you said, he's not filled this role for 3 years or something. He's repeatedly put out gimmicky tweets. And in the meantime, Zomato has gone public and is a darling of the Indian stock market. Probably the one tech stock, the new age company that's actually doing well in the stock market. So who are we to laugh? I think Dipinder is on to something good.
Nitin, if you remember, you had this problem with all the logos of all the companies becoming very, very randomly simplified. Right?
Yeah.
What is your take on Jaguar, which has rebranded itself by taking out a Jaguar from its logo and instead going for a
Clean text.
monogram?
Except it is in camel case.
Explain what camel case is.
Cool. So on the left is the old logo of Jaguar, which had a leaping jaguar, right? And it looks pretty fetching, must be said, with metallic colors for the logo. They have done away with the leaping jaguar and come up with a new logo that's on the right of the screen, which is in black. It's just the letters JAGUAR. It's a monogram. It's also an ambigram, by the way, if you realize. You see the J and the R, they are exact mirror images of each other.
But what about the G and the U?
That's what. I mean, we spoke about Da Vinci Code or something, no, a few days back.
No, that was Angels and Demons.
Which was supposed to be Dante's Inferno. So now we have covered all the books written by this gentleman. But in that book also, Da Vinci Code, there are a lot of these Illuminati ambigrams, right? They fraud with the symmetry part quite a bit. So G and U actually can very easily be made to symmetrify. If you just tilted that U a little bit to the right and gave it a bit of a stylistic hook on the top left, it could actually work. But A and A probably not too easy. That's the challenge. So this is the new logo of Jaguar. They've done away with the Jaguar and they launched this. There was even a small video that they released along with this logo launch. I don't know if you saw that. A new age bullshit type looking dystopian people in colorful costumes from different races, just generally standing around looking at each other. And in some very colorful setting, they're sitting on a pink rock or something. So that was the announcement of the new logo, and it was quite crap, to be very honest. But it's something it's something to do with them being inclusive and woke or whatever. So lots of people called them out, right, saying what rubbish is this. Elon Musk has tweeted, and you can see that. Do you sell cars? Because there's nothing in that ad or in this logo that seems to suggest that this is still the same Jaguar that sells cars. And,
we also sell cars.
By the way, I shared this image with you on the group. For the first time in my life, I came within 5 meters of a Cybertruck, which has recently been launched in Dubai. And it looks...
Why?
I don't think I've seen anything that looks like it. I think we should leave it at that. It's like if your fridge developed wheels and started rolling along, and if your fridge could go from 0 to 100 in 3 seconds, then that would be a Tesla Cybertruck.
Yeah. If I saw a Cybertruck out of my airplane window, then I would freak the fuck out. Right? I love this about Jaguar, which is that what you learn as you grow up in life is that you have to stop thinking about log kya sochenge. Here they've completely done away with logo kya sochenge. Like they had even bothered to think about the logo. Basically, we discussed last week about how Musk is extremely efficient, right? He eviscerated Twitter by firing 85% of the staff. The other thing that he did was overnight rebrand Twitter to X and change the logo to some random X, right?
Yeah.
Which, in comparison, if you think about return on investment for the design team that was hired to do this job, I would say Musk is quite efficient, man. Like you can't at this point in time logically say that he's doing a bad job, right?
I mean, he's also influenced the US elections. He's the George Soros of George Soros, if you think about it. He's what George Soros aspires to be.
No, but you didn't explain what camel case is.
Oh, yes. Camel case is when, a few letters in a word are capitalized, but not all of them. It is used typically to transliterate words from languages like Tamil and Malayalam, which have letters, consonants that don't exist in English. Like there is a letter la in Tamil. It's
or in Malayalam.
Or in Malayalam, of course, that's a good example. So there is the na sound as well. So the Tamil word for butter is vennai, right? So which is basically a very strong na sound, right? Where you literally roll your tongue out like a red carpet. That sound doesn't exist in English. So if you want to transliterate that word into English, in order to represent that strong na or the strong la, you use a capitalized letter there, right? So it's vennai is V-E, capital N-E-Y. This apparently is called camel case. Because it looks like the humps of a camel, which suddenly are, taller than the rest of the thing.
Yeah, so it's also used in computer programming and, like when you have to, when you join two words, the second word you start with a capital. Like if a variable name is variable name, it will be, N will be a capital. Or iPhone has P as capital and all that shit. Yeah, in the new Jaguar logo, basically, some are small and some are in caps. And I think the best reaction to this logo came from our own WhatsApp group, right? So I shared this tweet in the group saying camel case, right? And our friend Varun Murli of the Warden Story fame responded with, "This is commode or car?"
Car.
Jaguar commode or car. And I said,
this, of course, is a reference to the fact that the new Jaguar logo now looks very similar to the Jaquar bath fittings.
Yeah, it looks similar to the bathroom fittings logo. And Prashant DP responds with, "This is question or user review."
Is this a commode or a car? Car. Is this a question or a user review? Which explains everything about our friends. This is why this podcast sounds the way it does. These are the people we hang out with on WhatsApp.
Yeah. It is an ode to the commode. But when did you realize it was not Jaguar but Jaquar?
Much after I realized it's an Indian company and not the Peter England of toilet fittings. Everybody's like, we have very plush Jaquar fittings. And when you saw those Jaquar fittings, like, okay, this must be like a very rich family, right? They have like very plush. Because we have some, Sendil pipes or whatever, some tap company in our house.
Dakshayani biscuits.
I don't even know what that is. Do you get it at a Kerala bakery?
The whole joke is that Mohanlal came to fame because of this everyman movies where his struggles are either to get a job or get a business of the ground and nothing ever works.
Or to become Zomato chief of staff.
He's starting a biscuit factory and he wants to find a name for the biscuit, so he names it after his mother, whose name is Dakshayani. And basically, when his business is not taking off, his brother-in-law is like, "Who the fuck names a biscuit Dakshayani? Dakshayani biscuits," which is exactly what Jaquar is, because you know where Jaquar comes from, right? It is
Jaquar.
named after their grandmother, who is Jaquar. At this point, you don't know if it is commode or car. That is where we've come to.
So the interesting reversal over here, the paradox over here is Jaquar, the bath fitting company, is actually an Indian company, but it pretends to be a foreign company, and which is how lots of Indians end up buying it, thinking it is Indian. Whereas Jaguar, the car company, got purchased by Tata, so it's a foreign company that became an Indian company.
Indian company. Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but the real Land Rover is the Tesla Cybertruck because it is built for Mars.
I have the segue now. From camel case to Ottagatte Kattiko.
Oh, okay. Amazing. Brilliant. It's a somber update, which is that A.R. Rahman has announced that he's separating from his wife of many years, right? They were married for close to 30 years.
29
But
years, yeah.
29 years, yeah, because he himself announces that, we were hoping to get to 30, but they've announced the separation, which is by itself sad. But the way they announced the separation was through a tweet that was put out by A.R. Rahman. A.R. Rahman has announced his separation from his wife. I believe her name is Saira Bano, I think. It's a long and whatever, it's a tweet that people put out, celebrities put out when they're having a separation, which is all fine. But there is a hashtag at the end of the tweet. It's called hashtag ARR Saira breakup. Do you remember that era, Tony, when people getting married used to have, marriage hashtags that they would put out
Yeah.
with their invite and their,
Doesn't it still happen?
probably. Do people use hashtags ARR Saira breakup? What was AR
But
Rahman trying to
you
accomplish with that
mentioned
hashtag?
that this is a somber update, but what you can't accuse his social media manager of is being a somberi.
Somberi
Because
update.
not only did he put out the update, he made sure that he rounded it up with a hashtag.
So a hashtag concept that was popularized on Twitter, and like all the great things that came out of Twitter was actually not built by Twitter itself. It was users of Twitter who figured out that if there's a certain topic where there is a lot of content getting generated and they want to find it in the middle of all the clutter, a simple way to do that would be to have a single keyword search phrase. And instead of using normal words, they said, you know what, say whatever you want to, but include the hashtag as well in your tweet so that I can just search or even click. It became clickable later. I could just click on the hashtag and see the entire set of conversations around it. Of course, now if you go to Twitter and enter a hashtag, you're likely going to see bots asking you for sex. That was the concept of a hashtag. Virat Kohli goat, for instance, would be a hashtag. Or Talabadi eating dog tale. Oh, hashtags were taken to the next level by Tamil cinema fans, especially fans of Talabadi and Tala, who used to go after each other with very, very nasty hashtags.
There'd be abusive hashtags also, right? Like, not only do fans of Tala want to celebrate him, but also there will be like reverse, say Kusumunji Vijay, something.
Kusumunji Vijay. Exactly. So there would be 4 of those hashtags, right? The Vijay hashtag, the Ajit hashtag, the Vijay hashtag attacking Ajit, and the Ajit fan hashtag attacking Vijay. And these would be in the top 4 trends. The number 5 would be George Soros controversy. Number 6 would be Sushant Singh Rajput. Like the news doesn't change right, over a period of time. So these were the glorious days of hashtags. Yeah.
Correct. When hashtags used to be trending and like it used to be like such a big thing that you would be top of the thing,
And actually used to be a barometer for what are people talking about out there.
Correct.
Because and then influencer agencies and brands started hacking into this and abusing them, which is around the time they lost their relevance. But still people who used to get married used to come up with funky hashtags, which is sweet and all. But this is the first time ever someone separating from his partner of long time has put out a hashtag.
But this news also led to some Hindi Bollywood edification for us, Nitin Sundar, because A.R. Rahman was famously born Dilip Kumar.
Kumar.
And he married Saira Banu. And apparently there is the Hindi actor Dilip Kumar who married someone called Sarah Banu, who was 22 years younger to him. Their marriage lasted till his death. But one thing that no one pointed out to me was that in between, briefly, Dilip Kumar took a second wife. Do you know what
Oh,
her name was? For a year. He was still married to Sarah Banu. He took someone
okay.
else as a second wife.
Also Saira.
No,
Another
no.
Saira. No.
Her name was A. Rahman.
What the hell are you saying?
Asma Rahman.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
See,
Amazing.
this no one pointed out, but this is why leftover lasagna you get 10x the learnings of anything else, right? So
Incredible. Which means if you actually click on that hashtag, you will see old tweets from 25 years back. Person
from
saying-
1981.
Yeah. So, should A.R. Rahman fire his PR manager or not? This is not the first time A.R. Rahman has been in the middle of a really poorly managed, PR situation. There was this
Yeah.
concert that he was doing in Chennai.
Oh yeah, that was so
Got
bad, no?
completely messed up because of the rains in Chennai and just poor management, and people were stranded in the roads for 5 hours. I think some people still haven't gotten home from that day. It was really, really bad, right?
Yeah.
And he then put out a couple of tweets that were intended to express empathy and sympathy, but came across as
Backfire.
extremely, just
Yeah.
badly worded PR job,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know if he has made a change, because it looks like he probably has not. Have you actually, if you listen to A.R. Rahman in interviews, right, or when he's speaking about music or speaking about art, he actually comes across as one of the most deeply thoughtful, well-informed, articulate people. And it's
Right.
strange that such people end up with some cut price PR agency.
This
that
is why Dipinder Goyal is right. You should hire social media manager by saying, "Pay me 20
You
lakhs
pay
if you
me.
want to pay." You pay me.
I am the influencer agency. You pay me. Actually, this whole Dipinder thing, it actually reminded me of the scene from my favorite film, which is Michael Madana Kamarajan in Tamil. So, there is this patriarch who has 4 sons, right, who are quadruplets, right?
Yeah.
And they all get separated. The story is about how they come back together. Now, the patriarch actually has an accident, right? They try to kill him off. So, during that accident, he injures his head. So, he's slightly toying, right? He's not quite there. So, he hires a goon to help him find one of his sons. And that guy is trying hard to find the son, right? And they agree that he'll be paid 5 lakhs if he finds the son.
Okay.
Now this guy comes out and tell him, if you find my son, then I'll give you 5 lakhs. If you don't find my son, you have to give me 5 lakhs. And that guy's like, what? I don't have that kind of money. That's what it reminded me of. I think, A.R. Rahman should do the same and find his chief of Twitter staff through. Okay, in case Gautam Gambhir gets the job as the Zomato chief of staff, maybe Tony, you should take over as.
R. Ashwin should take over. Air Rahman's Twitter account.
So, talking about R. Ashwin and Rahman's funny tweet, there was this strange tweet that was put out by Virat Kohli.
I think he was jumping on the bandwagon, right?
I'm 100% sure he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this tweet was put out from Virat Kohli's handle hours after A.R. Rahman's strange announcement. And let's set the context here. Virat Kohli is going through one of the worst phases of his cricketing career. Is also a part of the Indian team, which is about to begin one of their toughest assignments. They're going to play a 5-test series in Australia. So this is less than 2 days before the match itself, with big question marks over Kohli's form and legacy for sure. And it's at that point that Kohli puts out this tweet, which starts sounding a lot like a breakup tweet as well, right?
Yeah.
Except it is not. Virat Kohli's tweet. Looking back, we've always been a bit different. We never fitted into any box they tried putting us in. 2 misfits who just clicked. At this point, everybody thinks he's talking about Anushka Sharma and himself. I'm continuing in Virat Kohli's words. We've changed over the years, but always done things our way. Some called us crazy, others didn't get it. But honestly, we didn't care. We were busy figuring out who we are. 10 years of ups and downs, and even the pandemic couldn't shake us. If anything, it reminded us being different is our strength. And right now, it's entirely about Anushka Sharma and him, because if you have been following the story, right, obviously she brought in a lot of zen into his life because she's a very different personality, and the brash,
They moved to
heavy
London.
boy. Yeah, of course. Also
The
took him to a different place.
best meme was when Virat Kohli turns up in Australia to play the Ashes, but his teammates are calling it BGT. Right?
Everyone else insists on calling it BGT. Yeah, so Virat Kohli these days spends most of his non-playing time in London, which is fine personal choice, I feel. But it's okay. It's up to him. He can live where he wants to. But of course, the Twitterati are not going to take it sitting. There've been questions about his nationalism and his commitment to India and to Indian cricket, as you would imagine. But anyway, Anushka Sharma, of course, bringing a lot of calm and a completely different, opening up a completely different side to Kohli's personality. If you remember him from 10 years back, or even before that, to what he is now, he's a very, very different person, largely for the better now. But yeah, 10 years of ups and downs. Even the pandemic couldn't shake us. If anything, it reminded us being different is our strength. So here's to 10 years of doing it our way, the wrong way. Wrong spelled WROGN with camel case capital
name.
W. Yeah, it is of course a brand name. Here's to being wrong, and here's to the next 10. Wrong for the right kind of man. Apparently, it has been 10 years since his association with Wrong, which I think is a brand he partly owns.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions, right? So one,
This is brilliant. Beautiful.
I thought this was moment marketing where they were trying to go after the Rahman.
Oh, but you're saying it's just on brand for Wrong anyway. Maybe I think it's serendipity. Yeah.
Yeah, and they might have done this even otherwise. So I'll give Wrong and Kohli the benefit of doubt. Not that they need any benefit of doubt. I think it's fine to tweet this. It's just given the context of Kohli's form and what he's doing right now, I thought it was strange timing.
Yeah.
But I also thought it's stranger timing coming after Rahman's tweet. But what are your thoughts as the marketing expert on this podcast? Please tell us.
No, I think they were in the right place in the right time, but they wanted to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, 100% superb, right? Like bait and switch works very well, especially for a brand like Wrong.
Yeah.
And it catches your attention, right? It's also the week where, Roger Federer has written a long love letter to Rafael Nadal, which is beautiful. So, it is clamoring for attention. It was also the 1 year anniversary of India's loss to Australia in that World Cup final.
A day when everything went wrong.
Like people have been stranded in Madras after that ARR concert. Several of us have never returned from that day in 2023. Right? So,
literally and physically, because people are still not been able to exit that stadium also.
They're waiting for Coldplay concert to start.
Buy one, get one free. Yeah, good luck to Virat Kohli and the Indian cricket team as they embark on the Ashes.
So that reminds me, Coldplay is now apparently going to perform in Ahmedabad also.
Yeah.
If you really want to sort of see us, you can come. This is basically the equivalent of Dipinder Goyal's thing, where he's saying, show me how much you want to work with Zomato by paying 20 lakhs. Coldplay is saying, show us how much you want to see us by coming to this fuck-all godforsaken stadium where you're not granted that you'll go back alive. Right? So it's no longer about the money. It is more about how much you really care. So
commitment.
Good hedge.
The only saving grace is that Coldplay concert is going to happen in February, by when the weather in Ahmedabad is tolerable. Not tolerable. It's actually very nice. It's very pleasant at that time. The World Cup last year in 2023, of course, happened in October. I mean, the India-Pakistan game was in October. The final was in November. The two big games in Ahmedabad. The tickets for the India-Pakistan game were very tough to get. People were paying an arm and a leg, and hotel rooms were not available. So people were booking hospital beds in Ahmedabad to spend the night. And hence, all the hospitals were full. Right? This is what happens in India. So I know some people who spent an arm and a leg to get tickets to go to that game, landed up in Ahmedabad, realized it is fucking filthy hot, and decided not to go for the first half of the match because it was so hot. Thankfully, the Coldplay concert will be cold.
But tell me, is this why the hospitals were full? Because people paid an arm and a leg. So to fix the arm and a leg, they had to go to hospital.
Also to recover from heat stroke. So it all ties in Ahmedabad. Yeah. In Viksit Bharat, we shall watch world events at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. By Viksit Bharat, which is 2047, you will get back home safe after the event. Visit Ahmedabad, but Viksit Bharat.
Okay, so one last thing to end is this tweet from @Tantanu. His name is Shantanu. Tantanu. Yeah. So his tweet goes, and his username is Neha from Clearpacks, of course. This tweet went, which is one retweet, okay, and 5 likes. That one retweet is by me, and 1 like is also by me. So I don't know how much this will resonate with audiences. Remembering that guy from college who got a go-karting track in Hyderabad and realized that the price to duration ratio didn't live up to his expectations. So he drove as slow as possible to enjoy each lap and then was ceremoniously kicked off the track.
So, do they refund you when you get kicked out of the track?
Obviously not. It's like Gautam Gambhir's donation to BJP.
Now, I have a very interesting follow up question on
Come.
this, on the whole Zomato situation. What if they need to fire you after 11 months because you're so bad at your job? What is the concept of full and final year? Like,
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. You can't fire me. I paid you.
I paid you. I will stay here for 12 months. I earned my chops here. But on a go-karting track, would you do this? As a famous abhorrer of rear-enders, what do you think about someone going slowly on a go-karting track?
Not that I do sports very well, right? I like watching sports, but I'm not particularly gifted at any of them. But the two seeming sports that I think I take to well, based on my experiences, are bowling and karting, right? Because I mean, I don't know, others might disagree, but the sample size is small.
This makes you the Hardik Pandya of this podcast because he's also good at bowling and karting big sixes.
Correct. This is more a philosophical question to say, should you slow down time to get the maximum out of it, right?
Yeah.
Should you look at bang for buck as opposed to
time for fucks? Yeah.
What is your take on this, right? I think it falls in the same category as your sunk cost fallacy, etc. Like if you order a butterfruit shake, which is avocado, because it is the most expensive and it's like 3 times as expensive as a Sharjah shake, but you hate the taste of it, would you finish it or would you not? Right? This is the question that we're fundamentally trying to answer.
No, but now there's a second order question. Would you finish it slowly or would you gulp it fast?
Yeah. Okay, so let's ask an interesting question. Were you the person as a kid when you were growing up, when you served a meal with vegetables and chicken?
Yeah.
Would you eat them, apportion all of them equally, or would you eat one first and save something for the end?
Oh, I used to save the meat for the end.
Exactly. Finish all the cabbage, right? Like on its own, so that you can.
Or push it to a corner so that it looks like I've eaten it, but actually I'm just hiding it in one corner of the plate and then get to the meat.
Yeah.
In fact, in my family there was a name for this, which I gave. I used to save one piece of meat, like typically a leg piece of chicken.
Correct.
For the end of the meal.
Exactly.
And everyone else would have finished all their chicken and they'd be looking at my plate and like, what is this guy? Maybe he doesn't want this chicken, maybe he'll flick it. I'll be like, no one touch it. That is my entertainment piece. I'm saving it for my entertainment right at the end. So entertainment piece is actually a word that I use with my parents and my brother. If I say entertainment piece now, they will remember this. Yeah.
Entertainment piece, because it's
not a Malayali entertainment.
It is a legend. You were a legend.
It is a leg over lasagna.
Legend. Like, I think there's a term for it. There is corporate speak for it. It's called eating the frog, which is you have to basically do the most difficult task at the start, right? Yeah. And then your day becomes easier. I don't do it in life, but if I'm given a plate, definitely I'm finishing off all the vegetables first and then savoring the meat throughout the meal and probably keeping a fair bit towards the end, right? So
yeah. You spoke about eating the frog. You do realize last week, after getting on that plane, the best thing to do would have been to eat up that lizard quietly. Yeah.
Correct.
You would have reached your meeting on time. Everything would have been fine.
Yeah. Actually, to round it up, right? Like, you've heard this story about Tolstoy's chicken from Amit Verma several times, right? Okay, for people who don't listen to Amit Verma's podcast, listen to ours instead. Leo Tolstoy was an asshole, basically, right? Yeah. He was just like one of those insufferable
hashtaggers.
People.
While Tony pulls up, I can share some more trivia about Leo Tolstoy. He wrote the very famous book about enjoying things in life called War and the Leg Piece.
Okay. So basically, Leo Tolstoy was an insufferable fuck. Okay. So this is from a Woodhouse book, which probably you haven't heard. Someone's telling the protagonist, it's a woman, obviously, in all Woodhouse novels, women want the men to get better and men are obviously just fucking around, right? So she's saying, smoking is just a habit. Tolstoy, she said, mentioning someone I hadn't met, says that as much pleasure can be got from twirling the fingers. My impulse was to tell her Tolstoy was off his onion, but I choked down the heated words, right? But basically, Tolstoy was off his onion. He was like one of those insufferable fucks who said things like, you can have as much pleasure twirling your fingers as smoking, right? But also, he was a strict vegetarian at some point, and his aunt was not, and she wanted leg piece when she came home. And basically, she said, "I'm coming over. I need chicken." So he kept a live chicken, right, there, and said, "If you want to eat it, you have to kill it yourself," right? And apparently, the moral of the story is that if you see the chicken on a plate, you don't think of it as a real animal. But if you see the real chicken, then you're like, oh, sympathy. And I have the opposite reaction, right? What makes Malayalis great lovers and great in bed is the fact that we will eat anything, and there is very few things that we are disgusted by, right? So all of us growing up.
Wait. What does this have to do with what you do in bed, Ra?
No, forget that.
I'm trying to. It's very hard.
It's at a metaphorical level.
Okay.
But anyway, growing up, we always used to go to the chicken shop, right? Are you disgusted by seeing a live chicken and then like suddenly you won't eat chicken on your plate or something like that?
No. I would eat it. I would feel a little, icky, but
Squeamish.
yeah, a little squeamish. Yes. I think chickens are made in factories these days anyway. So there you go.
Yeah, where they're not killed, right? They're just like plucked off chicken plants and then like
the chicken tree. Yeah.
chicken tray just washed and then
Yeah.
sent. Anyway, no, so to end this podcast, I have a movie recommendation which is on YouTube, which
Snakes on a plane.
no. Super Sharanya is a movie which was the prequel to Premalu by the same director. This is
Premalu.
a protagonist.
You've never spoken about Premalu before. What is this movie, Tony? Please tell me.
So Super Sharanya is his second movie, which is set in an engineering college in Kerala. But the protagonists are women, right? So it is basically about a woman's hostel life in engineering. And it starts off with the seniors ragging her, right? And basically her roommate is consoling her. She's apparently asked to milk a cow, right? And she's like very, very upset with this whole thing because she comes from a very, Pavam background and all that. And there is this city friend of hers who says, "Do you know what they made me do? They made me cook chettinad chicken curry, and I don't even know the recipe. And first, I had to make up the recipe, but before I could make the chicken, they made me chase the chicken for 3 kilometers and then made me kill it." Right? So you had to pretend like you were doing all of this, right? So it is a brilliant movie. It is on YouTube, I think, in good resolution. So please check out Super Sharan.
Which reminds me of another great movie which you've probably watched, which I'm sure is also on YouTube, if not elsewhere. This is Lagan, where the ragtag Indian team led by Amir Khan does fielding practice by chasing chickens. You remember, they're not agile. The villagers don't know how to field. So the drill that he comes up with is he releases a bunch of chickens and says, "Now you need to go and catch them."
Wow.
Which I think is a fantastic way to become a better fielder.
I'm sure.
Might not help you on the karting track, but definitely for fielding in cricket.
Also out on OTT this week is Kishkinda Kandam, right? So if you would prefer that one.
Yeah,
please
it's a wonderful film which features monkeys. So today we've spoken about chasing lizards, chasing chickens, and now catching a monkey on Kishkinda Kandam. Yeah.
On that note, this is episode 27. We're still keeping count. Anyway, thank you for joining us on yet another episode of Leftover Lasagna. Until next time, this is Jaquar and Berg.
We must also say that a lot of the topics that were discussed and some of the topics that we have saved up for next week were all shared with us by our friends.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, Choppy Chopper Nose has become one of the biggest sources for content on Leftover Lasagna. A.R. Rahman is a huge contributor this week, as you can see, as is Virat Kohli. But we are requesting our listeners, all 6 of you, please
to pay us 20 lakhs.
And become our chief of staff.
Chief of staff. Yeah, you could become our chief of staff. Yeah, by sending us topics.
Don't send us long CVs, just send us 200 word descriptions or 200 character descriptions of what you think was interesting on the internet in the last few days, and we will ramble about them.
Leave a comment on YouTube or reach us on Twitter or Instagram, where Nitin is at Knitins, Knittins, and I am at Notytony. Please.
Bring it on. Yes,
Chief
Chief,
of
of Staff. We are listening to you. Gautam Gambhir, send us something.
This was the entertainment piece saved for the end.
Bye bye.
Say bye.